All right, we got a new project I'm going to start on for the K&T. This is the other arbor support that I got with the machine. There's actually, I have two of them this size, and the other one has a longer bushing in it. And I think this one is actually more, this one looks like a factory bushing that's in this. The problem that I'm having and what I've got to do is I've got to make a nut for the bushing here. It is missing a nut. I'll pull this out so you can see what I'm talking about here. This is the bushing, which rides on the running bushing on your arbors right here. So I've got to make the nut for it on this end. And this is 2.5, 16 threads, I believe. I'll have to double check it, but I believe it's a 16. So just got to machine a nut, and what I'll have to do after I do the lathe work is I need to put it in the mill, and I'll have to do some indexing on it and machine some notches on the OD of the nut for the cap head bolt here. And what that does is, you know, you adjust the nut to get the tension on the bushing the way you want, and then you just screw that cap head bolt in there, and the notch will allow the, you know, keep the nut captured from moving back and forth. So that was one thing that I wasn't sure about, was how many of the notches were on the OD of the nut. I started doing some Google searching, and I found a couple images of some of the factory style nuts, and the ones that I had seen, I counted 12. So I actually had just recently got a text from Keith Rucker. I asked him, could he check his, see if it was just like mine, and tell me how many notches were machined on his nut, and his is 12. So that's what I'm going to go with, is 12. And I'll probably have to drill a few holes on the OD to where I can just stick a pin in there and rotate it from the bottom. Once this is mounted up here, you'll have a little room where I can come in here and turn the nut. I thought I had a little small pin spanner, the ones that look like a Y or a V shape, that I could put a couple holes on the face and adjust it, but I don't have the small one. All I have is the bigger one, so we'll just probably put some holes on the OD. So I want to go ahead and try to get this done, because I want to be able to use this support here in the near future whenever I start collecting the spacers and bushings I need to run the 1.25" arbor. And this one also will work for this 1-inch arbor here. So I do have a piece of tubing here. This is some steel tubing. This is some 2x4. So this will work to make the nut that I need. We'll have to do some boring, internal thread, turn the OD, and I'll probably go ahead and part it off once I get all that done. And I found this other piece of shafting right here that may work out just perfect to make a mandrel. This is actually, this area right here is already turned 2.5, and it's about the right shoulder length there. So I may use this piece, thread it, and screw the nut on here, and then hold this in either the super spacer or the dividing head, I'm not sure yet, to come in here and mill the notches on the OD of the nut. So I just kind of lucked out, and that was down here in my stash. So that is the project that I'm going to get started on. I don't know if I'll get it all done today. I've got a little time I'm trying to make to get this done, so we'll start working on it here, and I'll share with you and show you the steps along the way, okay? Okay, getting ready to do the lathe work here for the new nut. We're going to do some facing, turning, boring. We'll probably go ahead and turn it back, just say 3/4. That's going to give me plenty of room. Same way on the ID, I'll probably bore it about 3/4 deep. That way I've got a little bit of extra room there for threading. Okay, here we go. I got a 4-inch OD now. We're going to turn it down to 3 1/4. Okay, it should be about 3 1/2 now. Took a 1/2 inch off. Okay, 3-inch, 380. So we got about another 1/8 of an inch. What I'll do is just split that in 2 cuts. I'll dial in 60, mic it, and make a final pass. Fragrance, right? Okay. All right, I'll make a final cut there, about 70. Put me about 3 1/4. Yep, 1/1000 under, so we're good there. All right, let me go ahead and break that corner off. All right, we're going to bore it to 2.439. I've already got my depth set, 3/4 also. So we're at 2 inch. I got to make a few cuts, get it out of there. Where I'm at should be about 300 over. Okay, about 2-inch 275. Take another 100. We'll start making some lighter cuts now. Okay, so we got maybe about 60 to come out of there. All right, let me take a lighter cut. Gotta grab some mics and see where we're at. All right, just gonna use a telescope gauge. And where am I at? Okay, 2 inches 417. So I've got about 22 thousandths to go out. What I'm gonna do is just split it. I'm gonna dial in 10 thousandths. We'll make a cut. Okay, it's leaving us a nice finish in there. Okay, 29, 4 inches 29, so that leaves us 10,000. After this cut, I'll back face it, kind of clean that face up there. I won't drag coming out of there. Nice finish. Double check my size here. Alright, 440, so it's fine. We finished the dowel over. So, I'm just going to break this edge with a turning tool, and now I got to set up my threading bar. Alright, I got it set up for some threading. I was wanting to use my insert threading bar, and I forgot that I had it at work. So, what I'm using is a 3/4 bar with a high-speed steel tool bit that's already ground for a 6-degree thread. One thing I wanted to point out, here's one of the Z squares that Stan made for me and sent to me with that set. And Stan, I just wanted to show you that I can also use it here to set the compound at 30 degrees. Right down here, it worked good. This machine's actually got a line on here that sets you at the proper 30 or 60 degrees for threading. But the gauge lines up perfect with it also. So I just want to point that out. Stan's Z squares. So if you don't have any of these, contact Stan over at Shaden HKW on YouTube. Buy you a setup, man. Really nice stuff. Okay, I'll move the camera around. I need to get my depth set, and we'll start machining a 16 pitch thread. Okay guys, here we go. I set up my little double boost light. Try to make it a little brighter in there. I've noticed that a lot of guys like to cut on the back side, opposite side of the tool. I'm used to doing my boring and threading on this side here, and it's what I'm used to, and it's what I got familiar with. So trying to cut on the opposite side like some guys do is a little unfamiliar for me because I'm so used to doing it on this side. It is a little harder to see it, but like I said, that's what I'm used to. So that's why you always see me cut on this side right here. Alright, so I've got me a depth set in there. It's about a 1/2 inch deep. That should give me plenty of thread. And I've got everything set on 0 here, and we're going to make a little scratch pass and get going on it. Got my thread pitch gauge. We're cutting a 16 pitch. Alright, CD1, 16. Alright, here we go. We'll make a little scratch pass and see how it does. Okay, that looks good. Not a very deep thread. I won't be trying to hog a bunch of metal out there. We'll just make a few light passes across it. Just taking 5/1000ths on the compound every time here. Alright, one thing I forgot is my chart. I want to see about how deep I need to go. Be right back. Okay, standard depth is going to be about 46 thousandths. I'm only taking 10, 20, so we'll keep going, and then I'll start test fitting it. I want to sneak up on it, make sure I don't cut it way too loose. Get a little more oil in here. Yep. Need my pliers. Alright, Mike, I went and dug out my pliers, man. Looking a little shallow, but we're definitely going to have to keep going with it. Yeah. One thing I'm worried about, this thing's been dinged on the end over the years, and I've done some filing on it, and I think that I've got the thread straight. Hopefully we'll get it to fit. May have to do some more filing on this thing. Boy, that face is messed up on it. It's hard to even start it. You don't have a true surface there. Okay, there it is. It's trying to start, so we got to take a little more. Okay, it's still tight, and I think it's because of the threads being banged up on this thing. I want to go do a little bit more filing on these first 2 threads and make sure that I've kind of got them straight, and we'll come back and cut it again. Okay, I did a little bit more filing on the thread. Now we are right at the depth here that the chart's telling you that you should be at for the proper depth when cutting a 16 pitch, but that's just a general guideline. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple little light passes here. I'm going to go ahead and try it. Still pretty tight. Be hard to get it on there by hand, so I'm gonna have to keep going with it here. Make a spring cut. All right, that's getting better. I'm going to have to do some, I need to take a little bit of the bore out. It's starting to get to a pretty sharp point. What I can do is take a little bit of my 80 grit and kind of polish it out. But I'm going to go ahead and make another light cut through here. It's going to take 1/1000 on the compound. We can get just a little bit more out of there without taking too much. This is about the same thing as filing the OD of a thread after your single pointing, because it wants to roll an edge over on the crest of the thread. So you've got little hot spots that's trying to bind up when you're screwing it together. Look at that. That's a nice fit right there. It's not loose, it's not tight. I mean, it's just a perfect fit. So as this thing's tightened, it actually should get a little more loose on the thread because of the taper. It's going to be closing it up just slightly. So I think that's going to be pretty good right there where it's at. Okay. Well, my next step is to part it off. Probably do just a little bit of buffing on it right here just to kind of make it look good. And then we'll set up a parting tool and part it off. Alright, I've got my depth set for a 1/2 inch. I'm going to make the part a 1/2 inch wide. I decided instead of making it 3/8 stick, I'm going to finish it at 7/16 stick. And once we part that off, whenever I set this piece up and turn it and thread it, I'll actually screw the nut back on this. I mean, I'll screw it on here, and then I'll finish facing the other side and chamfering the thread. Yeah, the Victor doesn't like heavy parting sometimes. I may end up having to go with my high speed. Keep it underneath that chatter, keep it from rubbing, it'll do pretty good. Break that edge before I get it all the way off there.